So today's video is going to be a little bit odd, okay? We're going to build a rig for something that I don't even do, okay? I don't typically make vertical video, I don't do stuff like that. This is completely over the top, it's unnecessary, this is purely for entertainment. If you think that this is like unnecessary to do, I agree with you. But you know what, it's fun, I love building camera rigs, so I'm going to teach you how you can put together a vertical video rig for the Sony ZV-E10, and it has everything that you're going to need to film vertical video. So let's talk about it. So again, just to clarify, this is unnecessary, okay? You really don't need to do anything like this to capture great video. I just thought it'd be really interesting to ask the question, hey, if I want to build a camera rig for vertical video, kind of the way I would do for a typical cinema rig, what could I get away with? Okay, I want to have a base plate, one that can mount on a tripod or on the table. I want to have a follow focus because we're going to use cinema lenses, obviously, to film vertical video for TikTok. And I want to have redundant recording, so I want to be able to record 2 SD cards. And I want nice handles, ones that I can hold onto the camera and it feels nice and sturdy. So this is what the final rig looks like. It's a little messy. I think it's kind of cool. It's got external monitor, recorder, handles, follow focuses, base plates, cinema lenses, and you know what? I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. And if you hate it, no problem. I'm just doing this for fun. So if you want to record vertical video, there's 2 ways you can do it, right? You can hold your camera horizontally the way you normally would when capturing any sort of content, and then you can crop in, losing the sides of the image so that you can get that vertical video. And the benefit to this is you can use the camera normally, and also you can reposition. So if you move around in the frame, you can track it and sort of move your framing. Alternatively, you could mount your camera vertically and capture the image vertically as is. Now the benefit to that is you're actually getting a lot more resolution because you're not having to crop out any of the image. You're getting a full 1080 by 1920 recording. I typically wouldn't recommend doing this in 4K because I don't think you can really upload vertical video 4K. It's a little bit overkill, but obviously the downsides are you can't reposition, you can't sort of move your framing around. But in some ways that's good because that teaches you to be a lot more intentional with your shots and make sure that you get it right first time in camera. Saves a lot of time editing. So we're going to build this rig with the Sony ZV-E10. I think it's a great little camera, a great place to start. I think it's probably one of the best cameras you get for vertical video for the money, for your TikToks, your Reels, whatever it is you're doing. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's strip it down and we're going to put it back together. So we're going to start with the camera and a cage. Now a cage is just a piece of metal that you can put around your camera body, and that way you can attach different mounts to it, different things. I've got a NATO rail here on the top. That just is a way that you can add accessories to the top of your camera. And cages also just add a little bit of functionality. You can mount more things, gives you a nicer grip to hold, and also adds a little bit of safety to your camera. So we're going to start with the cage and the body, and then the first thing we're going to do is attach our lens. This is a lovely cinema lens by 7 Artisans. It opens all the way up to T1.05, which is kind of crazy. Again, this is completely overkill. I definitely wouldn't recommend using cinema lenses for vertical video, but you know what? I have one, so we're going to use it just for a bit of fun. So here we have the lens and the camera. The image quality that you're going to get from this compared to the entire rig is exactly the same. All of these other accessories, all they do is add functionality and maybe ergonomics or a little bit of ease of use. But this is basically the main part of the camera and the lens. So first things first, we're going to mount the camera vertically. Now how we're going to do this is use some of the threads that are on the bottom of the camera and attach a base plate. Now I tried a couple of base plates for this, and the best one that I found to use was this. It was a Nicey Rig base plate with 4 feet on the bottom. Now this is Arca Swiss. This allows me to mount it to a slider or a small gimbal. I guess you could use a gimbal or tripods. Okay, so we're going to mount this to what is technically the side of the camera so that we can flip it vertically. We're going to make sure that we get this lined up in the center of the lens. That way it's going to stay balanced. And now we have our base plate. So the camera is actually going to sit here nicely on the table, wherever we want to set it, or we can put it on a tripod or anything like that. I just love this base plate because it's got that stability with those built-in feet. So there we have our vertical mount, okay? So the camera is now mounted vertically and is ready to go. And we just got to add some more accessories. First off, let's start with handles. Now this is probably the cheapest, best handle I've ever purchased. I've bought some handles that are about $200 to $300 for some cinema cameras. This I think was like $16 or $17. I'll leave a link in the description down below. It's a NATO rail, it's by Nitsy. It's a really cool little plastic handle, very cheaply made. It can articulate so you can get it to whatever angle you want, and it has a NATO rail attachment on the side there, which is really useful for attaching it to anything. So the NATO rail that we have on the top of the cage, we're just going to go ahead, slide that on and tighten it down. And now we have our handle. We've got the handle that can carry the camera. It's still quite front heavy because all the weight is at the front of the lens. We're going to balance that out later with our external recorder. So here we have the main sort of rig with our handle, much more comfortable to hold than just the camera itself. Just makes things a little more easy. And I actually think it looks pretty good. It's a cool little handle. I think it matches the aesthetic pretty well. Okay, next we're going to add something that is definitely unnecessary. This is just to benefit us using the cinema lens. So we're going to start with a NATO rail that goes into a 15mm rod attachment. We're going to attach that to the side of the camera over here. This actually gives us 2 different attachment points, okay? So this will allow us to attach a NATO rail attachment on the side, but also it'll allow us to attach a 15mm rail that we're going to use to attach a follow focus, because obviously when you're shooting vertical video, you need a follow focus system. Because, well, there is no reason. Again, this is overkill. Probably wouldn't recommend building this, but if you're interested, all the parts are down below. If you just want to have fun. I'm building this out of things that I already own, pieces that I already have, just for fun. Sometimes you just got to have fun with cameras, build them up to do whatever you want, just for the satisfaction of being able to do it, if you've got some spare time to do so. So next we're going to take our 15mm rail. This is one by Condor Blue. It's like a 6 or 8 inch rail, and we're just going to put this into the 15mm rail mount. Tighten that down, and then we can take our small rig mini follow focus and attach this onto the rail. Now what this does is it just basically makes life a little bit easier, okay? So whenever I'm holding the camera, I don't have to reach around and pull focus like this. I can just turn this handle and it will pull focus for me. So it's about $100. They're very handy, and honestly, if you're using any manual focus lenses, not even for vertical video like this, something like this is really useful. It allows you to keep the camera balanced and turn focus at the same time. Sometimes I find if I'm trying to pull focus like this, I move the camera around a lot and it makes the footage a little more shaky. This just adds an extra point of contact and allows me to pull focus at the same time. So here we have our handle, our follow focus, and our base plate all attached. The only thing that we have left is to add an external power system, so that will add a lot more battery power to the camera itself, which will mean that the camera will last longer. External recording, so that we can record to the camera SD card and externally, just so that in case you want to have redundant recording, and a monitor, so that we don't have to use the small, not so great screen that's on the back of the camera itself. And the great thing is, this also just adds a little bit of counterbalance, makes the whole rig a little bit more balanced in the hands. Now, the awesome thing about this setup is that we're going to do all of that with one product, and that is this. This is the Artisan Cine. It's a small little device, and what this is going to do is it turns our phone, if you have an iPhone, it'll turn your phone into a full external recorder and monitor, all in one product. Not only that, but it also has a power out, so that you can charge your camera from the battery that will power the Cine. And we're going to attach this on the back of the camera here, so we can have our phone right in front of us, so that we can see what's going on. Now, to do this, we're going to use one of these. This is a small rig friction arm, or a magic arm. These things are amazing. If you don't have any of these, they're absolutely worth their weight in gold. You can use them for everything. I've got them clamping my lights together, my everything. I've got about 10 of them that I just use to mount things to anything. It's pretty handy. So this one has 2 1/4-20 threads on the ends, on both sides, with area locating pins. That just means that they can lock them in place and they're not going to start to spin on me. And you can crank this down really tight so that nothing's going to move. It's very, very secure. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach my monitor arm to a NATO clamp. This is just a NATO rail with lots of 1/4-20 holes. We're going to use the ones on the side here and attach our magic arm to it, just like this. And then this is going to add a lot more reach to our magic arm, and also allows us a quick release system, and that we can attach this onto the NATO rail that's on the side. So that'll just attach right there and give you a decent connection to the camera, and you can also just slide it off super quickly without having to unscrew anything. And then use the 1/4-20 on the end of the Artisan Cine with the locating pins on the other end of the magic arm. Attach our battery to the Cine, and there we have this. Now the beautiful thing about this is, once we loosen this arm, we can then position this wherever we want. It can go over here if you want it to be out of the way. I actually kind of like it to have it right in front of the camera, as close as I can get it. And then the nice thing is, if I want to access the screen of the camera, all I have to do is have that in a position where I can just swing it out of the way, access the screen, and then put it back. and it sits there pretty nicely. So the last thing we have are just a few cables. There's only 3 cables in this entire rig, which to me is pretty good if you've ever built really big cinema rigs, and you're going to use a lot more than 3 cables. So the only 3 cables that we're going to use are all very short, okay? So we're using a micro HDMI to regular HDMI. This is a 6-inch cable, and this is going to attach on the top of the camera and come out this way, out to the left, and go straight into the CMO. And it's got a very nice little connection there. Small little cable, nice cable management, very easy. Same thing with this. This is a very small little right angle USB-C cable. So we're going to plug that in the top of the camera. That is to charge the camera, and put that into the 5-volt out of the CMO. So this is what those cables are going to look like right here. Very neat and tidy. They really don't get in the way, which is great. And the only other cable we have is to connect the CMO to your phone. So you're going to take your phone, whichever phone you have. This only works with iPhone or iPads, so just keep that in mind if you have Android. Sorry. And then that is going to slot into the CMO, sit like that. We can attach our cable, and now we have a vertical rig that we can attach on a tripod, set on a table. We can pull focus very easily. We have our external monitor that we can use, which is super low latency, which also acts as a recorder, and we can film everything that we want with ease. And again, this is completely overkill, completely unnecessary, pretty short video, because honestly, this was more just for fun. I'm actually about to go to Ireland in what time is it? In 5 minutes, I've got to leave to go catch my flight to go to Ireland, and we're going to do some filming out there, see some family and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for more videos. If you like this, if you think it's a cool rig and you want to build it, you can check out the links down below. This isn't necessary. This was more strictly for entertainment, and I think it's fun. I love building rigs, and this just feels kind of cool to be able to use it like this. So yeah, if you want to check out any of the parts, use the links down below. If not, don't. But if you like the video and you enjoy this sort of content, hit the like button, drop a comment down below to tell me your thoughts on something like this, and maybe hit the subscribe button while you're there. I really appreciate all of you for doing so, and I hope you have a wonderful day.